Hello, I am Zoe, and this is my GMAP T380 final project. Now, what you see here is a randomly generated city. You will notice as I move around that it's a little bit laggy. I think it has a lot to do with the amount of HDRIs in the scene, which could probably be fixed in further iterations, but for now it is how it is. So, the first thing you'll notice is that some buildings are definitely shorter than the others. Some are really tall, and we have some structures that probably just could not happen here. But I think they look really cool, especially for the purposes of like a techno future land. So these buildings are generated noisily throughout the scene and are given parameters, maximum and minimum parameters based on the quote-unquote district they're in. So according to the noise value assigned to each little tile in the grid here, it's told its maximum and minimum variety, like attributes for a variety of things. We can see the different districts here. There are 6 in total, with this being the base prefab that all these are built off of. So I'll get into this in a little bit. I don't want to open the prefab while this is running. Let me just show you what is, my opinion, the best part of this. Because having cool buildings is cool and all, but one of my main purposes in this final was to investigate how windows were done in AAA games. And so if we, very slowly, because like I said, it's a little slow, zoom into one of these windows, keeps holding my drag after I drag because this computer is not the best at what it does. So now we're going to look at some of these windows, and you're going to notice, if I can zoom in a little bit more, as we turn, we can see depth and glare change. So you'll notice kind of a cube in here, and that there are actually different walls on this. Some of the textures are not the best. I had to work with what I found online. I do not have the equipment on me currently to make these kinds of textures and mappings, but you can also see, there's some reflection in the mirror. If I had extra time, I would have looked into reflection probing to get that reflection, but right now it is based off the HDRI surrounding us in the world, which you cannot see in this view because we're in scene view. And then, if I can zoom back out, you'll also notice that there are a variety of different windows in here. Each one can have any of the given interiors, so it is not a specific interior to a specific window type. All of them can have it. Some of the windows have shutters, which are opened at slightly different angles, but the geometry is only one-faced, so they're never open too far. So let's get out of here for a moment so I can kind of break some of it down. First glance, it might look like it's pretty simple for a building generator, but we have quite a few scripts here, to say the least. So I'm going to open one of these building randomizers I was talking about. And if you look in here, you see we have 13 different window prefabs. There are 4 different base windows with 4 different possibilities inside, but I excluded just a few, so we were down to 13 for now. And here's our minimum and maximum stuff. So here we have the manual generation, where we can give it a certain amount of columns and rows and floors. And we're gonna not have this on just yet. We're gonna generate. So you'll notice the cell unit size is wrong. That is what's wrong there. Forgot to change that to what is down here, which must be 5. This allows you to change the size of your walls, and it'll know how much to scale to. Alright. Now here we go. We have a nice squat little building. It's got a nice variety of stuff. Since we're in the prefab, I guess the metal just doesn't want to work because there's something around it. Because that's a metal texture. We got this nice stout building. It's pretty cool. So if we look in here, we get to, then if we want to randomly generate, we have a minimum number of rows and maximum number of rows, which is clearly going one direction. Then you have min columns, max columns, which is the other direction, minimum number of floors, maximum number of floors. Then we have the cell unit size, which, like I said, if I had randomly sized walls, this would be used, but I don't, so this is even, but it does have support for that. And we can randomize the roof inclusion if we don't want it to have a roof for some reason, and number of columns and rows. So now, let me just show you real quick what it would look like if I randomize the columns and rows. This is how we get some of the fun ones I was talking about earlier that I really like, but don't always look realistic. Yeah, so we get something fun and unique like this, which like says super cool for, you know, procedurally generated games, especially if they're in the future at all. And I just want to again point out these windows because I am very happy with how they came out. Even if, you know, not all the textures are 100% the best, I'm still very happy with how they turned out. I think it's super cool that you can look inside these rooms with absolutely no geometry. If I pull it out, it's literally just a plane. Seems like I broke it a little bit, but there's nothing on the other side. That's pretty cool. You can definitely see the map there. It's actually tinted, so that the further you get to the side, the more of the world you see. When you're looking at it straight on, you shouldn't see too much, but it has the Fresnel effect on it, is the short of that. If we want to look at the shader a little bit, once it's loaded up, we will notice that there's a lot going on here. We have this bounding box, which is what gives us our cubular projection, if that's a word. This is what causes it to know where the bounds of the cube are in space, and then this is how we get the view that the camera is viewing it from, and we know, you know, what portion we're looking at, what angle they're looking at it at. And then here we kind of combine the two, you know, add the bounding box to the view to get the result of what we should be seeing. And here is where we have the reflection of the actual skybox, which is the car that you see, and here's our Fresnel effect, which makes it more effective on the sides. And then we kind of just blend the two together so that, you know, we're getting a good amount of the original and a good amount of the Fresnel effect, which gives us our ultimate cube. Definitely think that's one of the coolest part of this project, and I'm going to get rid of these floors because that would mess up my prefab. But we also have our city generator here, and we have our different districts going on here, which are building blocks off the same prefab. If I go into my actual windows here, you'll see all our various prefabs as well, all of which are variants of the original. And so how the scripts kind of work is that, let me actually pull this back up. So we have all these elements, and essentially what we do is we go through and we make each one a cell, which is why we refer to it as rows and columns. And it goes through and it makes each room, if we're doing a 3x3, it'd be like this, except probably smaller. And then we keep going up floor by floor and we keep repeating that essentially. And then we should also, so we have a class for the floor, for the walls, so that each one is its own class and we can access them a lot more easily, because theoretically we should be able to get rid of keep inside walls. I have been having issues with it and I'm not entirely sure how to fix them at times, although this one seems to have generated fine. So you can see now that there aren't all the interior walls. It looks like, I think the cell size might be wrong. It's the cell size again. One day I will remember that the base vanilla script without the randomization is not at the right cell size. Alright, there we go. So, it does not currently look like it's always working, but typically it will get rid of these inside walls. So it is just 4 cubes with the correct pivot point so that it generates in the right spot with a simple roof. We could also lower the window percentage chance if we just, for some reason, didn't want windows, or we wanted just about all of them to have windows. So if I reduce this window percent chance to 0, now we have a pretty lame building. But it's a building. And then if I say we want pretty much all of them to have windows, you will notice that pretty much all of them have windows. This one decided not to, I guess it's 0.1%, but the rest of them did. So I don't know, I think it's a pretty neat project, and if I delete all of these once again, go back, and let's play. Goes a little fast, but I also think the motion blur looks kind of cool. So once this loads, like I said, it takes a little bit to generate. This computer is not the best for this. Doing the best I can, chugging along. Alright. Oh, yep, you can see my frame rate is not the best, the motion blur is extreme. But it's kind of cool, you know, to be able to see this in action. You can tell the floor is a little slanted because the texture's not the best, but being able to see, you know, the chandeliers up there, all without any real geometry. All these various windows, you can see different effects. Super cool looking out in the distance, being able to see the high rises when you're in an area of lower buildings. Some are built to be more rectangular. Some of them do morph, and that was actually more or less intentional, because I think it creates a cooler building, and these are all currently individual grids. I was aiming to try to figure out how to create a cumulative block, but that's really hard actually. You will also notice I am floating, that is also intentional. It makes it easier to get in between the buildings in my opinion, and get to see a little bit more detail, if not all of it. But these roads are also textured, and if I back out, we can also see that you can adjust the space, which is kind of the size of the roads and the buildings, so it's got to be 25 for the current roads I have. But we can adjust this down and up so we want to make a bigger or smaller city. The grid itself is grammar based, could be manually controlled, but I'd prefer not to for this. Let me find where their city went. There we go. And so now we have just a really small area. The blocks in this one generated to be bigger than our 5x5, so we don't get a full block, but pretty cool experience. You get some pretty neat geometry out of some of this. You can see this one's kind of more of an apartment blocky building than this, but it's pretty neat. And so this is the basis of my final project, and I hope you enjoyed.